I'm an emotional person. I ride a high, and when I'm on those highs, it comes out like a superwoman. It unnerves me sometimes. By design, I am a 3-5 pioneer messenger, emotional authority initiator on the cross of rulership 3. In 2018, I was part of that initiatory wave. I found myself a business owner. I had a brick and mortar service-based business and retail, and I managed 28 employees, high functioning, reaching almost $1 million in revenue. Took me a whole career to build up to that point. So I was very proud of it, and my identity was completely tied to it. I was in a leadership mastermind, had nothing to do with esoteric information. It was more about business, management, system, processes, people, right? That language. And we were in a break. One of the other participants that stayed in between the break happened to be one of my former students 13 years prior. And I heard her having a conversation with two other individuals in this break saying, yeah, and I don't have any of my chakras defined, so I amplify energy. And of course, my strategic mind was like, excuse me? What did you say? Right? And she was like, yeah, you can pull up your chart and you can see if you have definition in chakras or not. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'd like to know more.
And in fact, it's worth writing this down. Nothing that you want is upstream. Nothing that you want is upstream. And the reason we know that is because we've seen the cycle of life. We know that source extended itself here into that which is you.
But if you understand that every change is a total change, a totally new reality that you've shifted to.
Well, it's as if you had a black balloon, and there are white dots on the black balloon, and those dots represent galaxies. And as you blow the balloon up, uniformly, all of them grow and grow farther apart. But you're using an analogy. The actual universe is not a balloon with white dots on it.
So this is pertaining to only material and space. So where does time fit in? Where does time come from? Time doesn't exist. It is only because your conscious mind wants to compartmentalize everything. The nature of the intellect is, if it doesn't cut something, it cannot understand anything, isn't it?
Do I look like I'm waiting for something? Do I? I'm not, actually. I'm just breathing. Follow your strategy and authority. Wait for life to deliver. But be alive. Be present. Let's put it this way. Everything that you think and say and do is initiated in the deep areas of the brain before you're conscious of it. Now think about that, because it's quite something to think about.
All right, hello there and welcome to Dharma Science Radio. My name is Ian and I've been in my human design experiment for about 7 years now, and it's been a lot of fun and also a little frustrating sometimes, and yet the satisfaction has really become the star of the show in my own experience. And so I'm happy to share that with you, all of you watching, and with my friend who's here with us. And if you would kindly introduce yourself.
Hi, hello. Hello, void of a world out there, everyone, different time zones, spaces, and places. My name is Lorraine Berg. I am the founder and one of the analysts at Human-Centered Workplaces, and I am a BG5 licensed and certified professional working with the science of differentiation in the workplace. Nice to meet you guys. By design, I am a 3-5 pioneer messenger, emotional authority initiator on the cross of rulership 3.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful. I can see the peace that you're ruling over from here.
I'll accept that projection. Thank you. Yes, today seems to be a flow day with me as I'm watching the quietness of the environment. It is currently raining mildly heavily outside of my window, and it is a very peaceful, tranquil, pitter-patter So yes, I'd love to bring that to your audience and your community. I hope everybody can feel it through my voice.
Yes, beautiful. So my first question is, could you describe a little bit about your experience of how human design found you and how that journey began?
Absolutely. Well, I want to give you a little bit of back context before I enter the initiation into human design. I think in my personal experience, what I validated is that I've been working with these principles and theories for a very long time. I've actually studied every single one of the sciences and modalities throughout my whole entire life. I think I started around 11, 12 years old with esoteric knowledge, and I even worked at the Kabbalah Institute in New York City. I did the I Ching, did a lot of Eastern philosophy, meditation, Hindu chakra system, was always into astrology. So I just want to give a little background. I am an ordained shamanic high priestess at the age of 21 by a Lakota shaman. So I've been working with esoterics, right? I like to say that I've always lived in between the mystical and the mundane. I've always had this mystical side to my personality of always reading in between the lines of life and knowing that there was always something there that I had a language with but didn't have words to. And then I had the mundane life, right? The day-to-day experiences, the moments that call us to be certain places, certain people, certain roles, given the nature of life. So I've always had this openness to all of it. And in 2018, I was part of that initiatory wave. I found myself a business owner. I had a brick and mortar service-based business and retail, and I managed 28 employees, high functioning, reaching almost $1 million in revenue. Took me a whole career to build up to that point. So I was very proud of it, and my identity was completely tied to it. I was in a leadership mastermind, had nothing to do with esoteric information. It was more about business, management, system, processes, people, right? That language. And we were in a break, and one of the other participants that stayed in between the break, in between the module breaks, happened to be one of my former students 13 years prior. And I heard her having a conversation with two other individuals in this break saying, yeah, and I don't have any of my chakras defined, so I amplify energy. And of course, my strategic mind was like, excuse me? What did you say? Right? And she was like, yeah, you can pull up your chart and you can see if you have definition in chakras or not. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'd like to know more. Turns out she winds up being a 4-1 reflector. Okay. I've bumped into her numerous times in my life and have the most beautiful relationship with her. And she winds up sharing mybodygraph.com. And I pull up my chart. And of course, there was this immediate self-recognition. I was like, holy buckets. I know this, but I don't know this. And what is okay? Attention there, right? The initiation was so impactful in my life. And I do have to say, it was in the beginning of entering my Uranus opposition that my whole world collapsed after I saw that design. And slowly but surely, everything collapsed to the point where there was no other option in life for me but to follow human design radically. And I'm talking about a burnout. I'm talking about filing for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy of almost $1 million in assets, right? Like the most humbling experience of my life, to the point where I had no money, nowhere to go, nothing to do. And I had all of these courses that I was initiated into that I purchased. I was in and out of the hospital, taking care of my body, and all I was doing was re-educating myself. It was the most radical and phenomenal thing that has ever happened to me, painful? Absolutely. Not only physically did that burnout, that experience, that collapse, put me in the hospital 4 times and at the brink of manifesting cancer in my reproductive area. Okay, so think about me as an initiator who is non-sacral, running an almost $1 million enterprise in Aura with 28 people, constantly doing what that lesson taught me. I lost 78% hearing in my left ear, so my acoustics really sharpened in a way that is it's my story. It's what happened to me. And I hold the 57 3 times in my design. So I'm an acoustic being where my hearing was like really narrowed. It has been such a radical experience. So ever since then, I've been practicing and applying, living my design, and professionally now 4 years working with those that are ready to hear my voice and accept change.
Yes. That's so beautiful. I love the initiation into change that you're willing to bring. And what you were describing reminded me of my own story as well, because I think it was the first thing that really stuck out to me when I saw my chart was, wait a minute, you mean my chakras could be defined to each other or not? Are you serious? Nobody told me this the whole time. I knew about chakras the whole time, no big deal. And then it's like, whoa, I didn't know anything about chakras.
Right? Blew the head off, literally, of what you
really
thought you knew.
Yes, I appreciate it so much, because there was all that talk about, like, maybe if you have a weak energy center or a weak chakra, it looks like this, and you need to strengthen the weaknesses, and you need to really round yourself out and have this homogenized flow, I suppose. And yet nowadays it's like, hold on, we can facilitate the differentiation and acceptance of our differences to the point where we don't want to be the same. We don't want to have strong what's weak. We want what's weak to be weak and what's strong to be strong.
It is what it is. I think that was one of the most profound things that I experienced when I saw the synthesis, because, as somebody who's always been attuned in reading historic texts and religions, spiritualities, occult, all those wonderful things in life, the mysteries of life, everybody has their one way, right? It's this way. This is the way this modality kind of works. This is all that frequency is giving. It's very narrow in predisposition. And when I saw human design and I saw how you can actually layer things and how there's this convergence, right? And then you have to talk about the physiological, like how it comes alive, and that unity, right? It's everything, right? So that was something that was really, like, really brought me so much peace and understanding that, okay, amongst this binary of the this and that, right? The Kabbalistic energy circuitry, and right, they have their ways, their principles, and you have Hindu chakra system, their ways, right? Nobody ever, right, brought it together. And I think that's something so beautiful about just understanding the nature of that in it of itself, right? Because it's about the totality of things. It's the binary, it's the this, the that, the fusion, right? Of the mystical and the mundane, of the black and the white, and the high and the low, and the, right? It's like, it's a convergence of all of it. And it's not just like so tightly wound in, like, just this. The only thing it gives you is the opportunity to experience and experiment with what's your truth. What is your validation of that truth? What is that self-recognition that surfaces as you experiment between the mystical and the mundane parts of you as a differentiated, unique human being? So those are the things that I love about human design. It is a really beautiful synthesis, right? And I think that being able to translate it in normal language is such a gift. And to be able to also meet people where they are and witness their experience is such a gift. When you understand and live your design, when you understand the highest principle of no choice and how incompetent we really are in this life, you know, and just relax into the nature of your being. I think that is just for me, uh, yeah, yeah, that's where I live, right? That's where I just love to find those openings of flow in my life and allow life to breathe with my contraction and expansion as a manifester, right? Because that's what we do. Our energy expands and contracts. And I breathe with the rhythm of my life, with my energy, with my potential, my cognitive potential, and bring that out as a outer authority, right? My contribution to the world.
Yes, beginning this process of suffering alleviation.
Oh, yes.
I
Doesn't the
personally,
world need that?
right, right. I personally believe the reason why we have so much suffering on this planet is because inside each and every person, there is this gift. There is this almost immeasurable depth of rich and wealth
Mm,
and just quality, pure love. And inside of each person, there is that essence. And yet, for so many of us, we have a difficulty actually translating it from the inside out. And for even more of us, maybe, I wouldn't want to admit that, but it is what it is. We can even forget that it's there. We can forget that we're perfect from the inside out, and nothing we could do could interrupt or change that.
mhm. It's beautiful. Well said.
Yeah. There's something so interesting. Could you tell me something about your 1222 experience? I recently
Oh,
had, right, because I know you have that your whole life. So that's
yeah,
something that you know about. And I
yeah.
recently had from the transits the 1222 as a defined experience for at least a period
Mm,
of time. And I
mm,
found that there were different little moments where something hit my mood in such a way that it really pulled me in a totally different direction that I hadn't felt in years and years and years. And I was just like, wow, I feel like this is somebody who I know and trust. And yet I feel like they're bringing really bad energy. And I really feel like this is just not right. And that was when the 1222 was coming through. And so after it left, I was like, oh, maybe that was part of where those feelings were coming from.
feelings, nothing more than feelings.
Yeah. Huh.
The 1222 is an absolutely magical channel. And from my experience, um, we can talk keynoting all day about the 1222. I just want to ground it in some practical language. What I experienced in my life is that I was always recognized for being a great performer, whether in my childhood, going through dance lessons, right, and working up to a recital, and it being the most paramount, most beautiful expression of my ability at the time as a child, to my professional work, where I facilitated lots of conversations as an educator, performing on stages in front of big groups of people, right? It's a very much a social channel or not. So it is very moody. It is my inner authority, and it is on my incarnation cross. So as the cross of rulership, that 22 in my conscious personality is my grounding earth. It's the grace that I bring in my design. It's the voice that you hear right now. It is my emotional center that's connected directly to my throat. So when I am aligned with my moods, with my feelings, right, my alchemical magic of the chemistry of my nature, and I allow the time for them to develop, to build, to express or not, that's what comes out of my voice. the way I feel, my moods, right, in interaction with other human beings, which is the ultimate potential of mutation. It's carried through that channel. It's a very powerful channel. I have it half unconscious and half conscious. So sometimes I'm not even aware of how my voice is coming through to the other. But it is the channel that makes me a manifester, or in BG5 language, the initiator. So it is my moods. So if I'm in the mood to engage, I engage. If I'm not in the mood, I don't engage, right? So I really have learned to have this exciting relationship with my moods. When I first started working with my design, it was something that was very elusive for me because my conditioning was very heavy and I did not know how to recognize or even work with emotions or feelings because as a normal human being, those aren't real deep conversations most people have, right? When you look at the mundane, the world, right? Emotional intelligence isn't at the highlight of most conversations, let alone teaching children how to handle emotions, right? And waves. So it was something that I was like, I don't see myself as a moody person. I've always found myself to be very easygoing, right? And the more that I started working with feelings, like how I feel in my body, is it heavy? Is it expansive? Am I in the mood to engage or not? This, that, whatever the levels, right, of my experimentation were, I started picking up patterns. And within that, my voice started really healing and getting really clear. So I stopped being a performer out of the conditioned, right, environments and started to perform from my emotional heart center, right? Because I'm also heart defined. So it's something that comes through me as the 45, right? Like I have to have this resonance and it has to come from within me, right? The performer used to always come out in reaction to the environment, right? To be social. Now it comes from me to when I am in the mood to open up and be social. And that was a big game changer for me. So yeah, it's a social channel, it's an individual channel in circuitry. It really is about passion and purpose, right? And how it communicates with clarity or not, right? So it's something that I have learned to relax in. And now, when I am in the mood to perform, I am very well aware of the potential that it might have on the other, on the community. So there is this authentic accountability that I carry with knowing what that strength means for me as an individuated being, but also in collaboration with another, right?
Beautiful, beautiful. I love to hear that. There's something that I feel like I might be kind of reaching for this, but I know in my own experience, being emotional authority as well, there's been this process of realizing that emotions and the chemistry of the body and my own authority, like where I make decisions, is very separate and distinct from what I'm thinking about. And for me, what I'm talking about, like what's going on even verbally on the outside, because I'm a split definition and my 1648 defines the throat. So that does the talking. And then I have all four motors defined together on the other side.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's been really fun. I've always been wanting to hear Ross say something about having all four motors together, and I haven't heard it yet. So I'm looking forward to hearing what he might have said at some point about that. And so my question for you is, how has that experience been for you, realizing that, say, what you might be strategically interested in or thinking about or processing consciously, how that is very distinct and separate from where decisions come from, for example?
I have subscribed to No Choice many years ago, and I can feel the difference of where my mind lives and where my body lives. And I think that's the gift of passenger consciousness, being the witness of your experience. Because my mind is really here to be strategic for the other, not for my own experience. I hold the channel of the 6447. So it really, if I give into my defined head, right, and I apply it internally, does self-oppress. Yeah, yeah. But the beauty of that channel also is that I know how to turn it off. It's just the mind chatter. So when I know I need to make a decision that is correct for me, the first place that I go into is my nervous system. What is my relationship to my nervous system right now? What is my body feeling? And that's where I make decisions from, is my body's intelligence. And being a defined emotional person, I'm just going to simplify the terminology here for the community. If you look at what the shadow work of an undefined emotional being is, where they avoid confrontation and there's nervousness, and right, these are the keynotes that we hear about the undefined emotional center, right? Try to apply it to the emotional person, because it has to do with your nervous system regulation and your relationship to that, right? Because what you want to broadcast is a clear emotional center. The chaos in this world has come through the distortion of the emotional center, that powerful, powerful, powerful function that is the only function in the human design body graph that holds dual purpose, right? Even though right now it's a motor, and anybody who is emotionally defined needs to see it as a motor. It is in its trajectory to becoming an awareness function. And it's not quite there yet, because we're just now starting to learn and becoming aware of how to deal with emotions, almost like coming out of this infancy stage. If it was an awareness function, it wouldn't require patience, because you would know it. But because it's a motor function, it requires patience. So you need that time to process and digest. So for me, as a triple split, okay, my journey is one of patience. Different places, people, experiences, for that integration to happen within my circuitry. So I have to give myself plenty of time in making decisions that I know will have big impact on the other, or communities, or right, where that performer's being called out, right, where it's meant to really be placed in society, in the fabric of life. So it's really about my nervous system. So that's how I know where to make decisions from, is when I feel that sense of wholeness and my nervous system is regulated and calm. So all of those beautiful, open, undefined, right, centers out there can amplify a clean emotional center.
And what a difference it makes.
Yeah. It changes environments.
Right. It transforms the environment.
Yeah,
And
the
something I've kind of,
frequency is so different. Yeah.
especially being the dominant authority on planet Earth, because the emotional center kind of dominates the authority of the world in a sense. And so as emotional beings, our responsibility to be able to actually wait for clarity and to bring actual emotional clarity into that level of authority, I feel is really valuable for humanity as a whole. And something that's kind of funny that what you were saying kind of reminded me of was with the nervous system, which I think is a really funny term, especially with how determination is coined or was coined by Ra, that there are those with the nervous determination and there are those with the calm determination. And so I was thinking, it's like, well, you know, some of us have nervous systems, some of us have calm systems.
Indeed. Indeed. And they're both correct.
Right. And so if you're one of those people who needs to be eating that burrito while you're running down the road, I mean, love it, you know, have fun with it. And if you need that perfect silence to really be quiet and still, then I hope you can love that too.
That's my youngest son. I have 4 children. As a non-sacral mother running and operating a penta here, my youngest son is nervous determination, and he has always taken in life on the go. And it is just something amazing to see in his correctness and how we can support his development as well. But particularly in the workplace, this is what I bring to the conversation when people are navigating careers, when people are talking about strategic business partnerships. How do I work the material world? How do I grow a business? You know, that's what BG5 is for. And that's what I work with in leadership and guiding others that are here for the resonance of my frequency. It works really well right now. I am very successful. I am very at peace with my work. My leaders come to me always confused, in doubt, and in knots. What's my next step? What do I do? This, that, growth, spreadsheets, profit margins. Imagine the world, the material world, right? And then you meet someone like me. And how my communication, my conscious communication, and my profit potential is in gate 46 in an undefined center. So I am here for the determination of the self and guiding people in their direction, right? And it's the love of the body. It's the gate of the love of the body. So yes, I talk to my leaders into alignment. I do. My voice does it naturally. My presence does it naturally. Into that self-recognition, into that inner authority. That is the love of the body. Because the body is the most holy thing, the only thing that is worth ever paying attention to in this body is your experience that you are having right now in the body.
Exactly. That's what I love. I'm so grateful you're bringing that to people that are already so mentally engaged with the survival program that for so long made sure we made it. You know, for so long it did so much good work. And now we're learning to let go of the dogma.
Yeah. And returning to the sacred, the one life, the holy life, your body. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Grounding those people in there, grounding those people in there with my presence and my support.
Could you say something more about this field of profit potential through BG5?
Oh, yeah. All right. So for those that are new to the term BG5, BG5 is the professional application of career, leadership, and business using the human design system. Our language is very different than human design, and the intent is different than human design. Human design is for personal transformation. It's esoteric in nature, and yes, can get really out there, right? With all those wonderful paths and ways of star constellation and cosmology and right, all of that. BG5 is for the mundane. So Ra always said that human design is for the 4% of humanity, and BG5 is for everyone else, the 96%. So our language is different, right? So in our training and embodiment, we use normal business language. So just a little flavoring, right? In type definitions here. I'm just going to go through the line. You know, you have our wonderful generators. In BG5 language, they're called classic builders. They build things, right? They build communities, environments, businesses, right? They're builders of life, right? Manifesting generators in BG5 language is called an express builder because they're specialists, right? They can build with specialty, with precision, with that oomph, right? That comes out of that manifestation support, right? In human design language, we have projectors. In BG5, they're called advisors. They are master guiders. They advise, right? As a career predisposition, they advise the other, right? great managers, great leaders, great business owners, right? They guide people, they advise them on the best way to how you can use your energy, right? Manifestors in human design are initiators in BG5 language. We are the river pushers. We initiate new thought. We initiate new ways and systems. We initiate, right, moving projects along for the business world, right? We initiate this spark, this push, bringing our energy in to get things to kind of unclog and move along. And then we have our beloved, beloved reflectors. In BG5 language, they are called evaluators because that's what they do. They evaluate systems, processes, people, environment, structures, right? Communities, neighbors, right? Like they evaluate and then they give you their wisdom, their insight. So just with those word shifts brings a little bit more, I want to say, a clearer perspective on how it shows up in the mundane, right? So that's where the difference is with the language on BG5. But what we truly do through BG5 is that we are known as transauric experts. We work with group frequencies, group dynamics, group conditioning, group fears, group emotionality. And in the substructure of that, we're talking about penta and wa constructs, which are part of our energetic world. And these two constructs, penta and wa, are the most conditioning energies on the planet because they never take into account the individual sovereign spirit of a human being. It has its own mechanical laws to bind people together for an objective. So that's what we do through BG5, which makes us very different from human design. And by all means, even leadership and business, human design work out there, that's the difference. We are taught the principles of these transauric entities so we can guide people to stay aligned when they're collaborating in these environments that want to condition us to be something we're not. So we do it through what's called the comparative analysis. The comparative analysis breaks down your individual design as a sovereign, unique, differentiated being. Then we look at how comfortable you will be in partnership and what the ideal partnership may or may not be for you. We also look at your penta attributes, skill sets, and competencies in group work. And then we also look at WA or OC16 capabilities. What does it look like when you're in large fields of energy that are conditioning you all the time, right? When you go to a concert, when you're in the mall, when you go to the supermarket, and you're around a lot of people, what is it that comes out of you, gets pulled out of you? And bringing that awareness up to the surface allows us to stay aligned with our personal truth. So that's what the work is.
All right, I see. Yeah, thank you for giving that very holistic and clear English overview for BG5. That is, I think it's really important. And, you know, I hadn't quite heard it in exactly that way, that human design for the 4% and BG5 for the 96. And yet, as I let that sit into my system for a moment, I was like, oh, how beautiful. Okay. So even if every single human being alive, even if we don't make it all the way, because maybe only a certain amount of people are here to have that, if I can be poetic with an old school Buddhist term, was the supreme perfect enlightenment. It's such a beautiful irony, funny word, that one. And
isn't it?
yeah, it's really funny. And knowing that it's like only a very small fraction of us are actually really going to get there. And that's all that we really need to have success as a human species. Whereas the BG5 being able to work with everybody else gives us the freedom to recognize that even if only a small percentage of us are going to go really all the way, that we could still have a physical world where our survival is a-okay and we're not going to work stressed to death every day.
No,
Nobody has to have that life.
absolutely not. Nope. And you can travel it with awareness and your highest signpost every step of the way.
Mm. That's my
And
wish.
it's something that is, and it's something that's so beautiful, because at this stage of my evolution, I can speak to anyone, because I live my design. And I know my body intelligence. I know what the other brings into me. I feel the pressure. I feel the elation. I feel connectivity. I feel the resonance or not. There's always a language that's happening deep inside my body. I register and I have the language to speak to just about anybody, to anybody, without being jargony, without, right, having, right, talk about gauge, channel strengths, line quality, substructure, base, color, tone, like, without getting into all of that. I have a way of just naturally bringing grace to that oppression, which is part of my incarnation cross. I bring grace to oppression.
Mm.
And it has been a very illuminating experience for me to embody it and to be able to share that with others. I can get really geeky with it, of course, because my training, because of my experience. I did do everything formally through the BG5 Business Institute. And I will say, and not to its full entirety, because everything is always in evolution, there's about 300 of us on the planet, which isn't a lot. So that's why a lot of people don't know about BG5 certified consultants, right? But the expansiveness of that. So now I'm going to circle back around to profit potential, because BG5 is all about the mundane world. Okay.
Thank you.
BG5 is about the material world. BG5 is how are you going to find the most ease in making money? Let's be honest, we need money. We live in this 7-centered era of planning, right? Do this for this, I'll rent the room, but you pay me, right? Like it's the material world. And how do we open up that conversation where we can actually align with the flow of how that is able to move through your life, the material world? So yes, it is business talk, it's career talk, right? It is profit margins, right? It is about that. How do we align teams to get efficiency so it's a win-win for everyone in the company, right? That's my work. And profit potential is part of BG5. So profit potential is speaking into your openness, into where your activations are, and how that kind of works through your system. Profit potential is the mastery of your shadow work, because as we know, for those that are familiar with this type of work, right, your shadow work has tremendous wisdom capability. When you know how to see it, feel it, engage it, process it, recognize it, it becomes your wisdom potential, AKA your profit potential, when you learn how to wrap that around your nervous system. Because your openness is where you're going to take the world in. It's where all the lessons of life come into you as a unique being. And that energy exchange, for the most part, has been painful for people. So your nervous system, oof, right? When you get that hit, it's like, ah! But when you learn how to like have the right discernment, this is me, that is that. I know my decision-making strategy. I'm emotional, I will process, right? I'm instinctive, I know right now, right? Whatever it is, whatever your decision-making strategy is, which is a BG5 term, strategy and authority, human design term. So it's like, whatever that is, it's how you're going to navigate the clarity back into regulating a healthy nervous system, where then you just show up in your presence naturally, knows how to interact and flow with the relation of your experience, right? So that's profit potential. There are courses, there are teachers, there are things, human design is beautiful because there's so many different avenues to it. You have people that work with family therapy, child development, health and nutrition, PHS, this, that, the other, right?
Right.
They're everywhere,
And-
right? And we are the career, leadership, and business side of human design. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important to have that side. Like, we have to be able to be financially successful to know it's even true and working, because otherwise it wouldn't work and it wouldn't be real.
Wouldn't be real.
And
So we
so,
talk about what comfortableness in the environment aspects are you in? Are you really heavily defining individual circuitry, which lends more for that solo environment? Are you collaborative? Like we really take it down and give it to you in a nice package where it, like the language just makes it easier to go, oh yes, I can feel that, or yes, I can recall that from a memory, and really try to sharpen how you show up and work every day. Right? So it's more relaxed and in flow, less resistance, right? Most people feel a lot of resistance in their day-to-day. Resistance isn't bad, it's a teacher, but it's like kind of like, okay, right? There are ways to kind of ease people into their comfort and how they make money. And that's what we're here to guide and do.
yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's something wherein in my own life, I have become a big fan of the term minimum effective dosage. And I feel like the path of least resistance is right in alignment with that. And so my question for you right now is, and feel invited to get as technical with this as you'd like. It has been a few years since I've really done any diving into the BG5 material that I've been privileged enough to have access to. And so with the profit potential, is it kind of similar to the weak point in Dream Rave, in that you really want to have a little bit more awareness on how to pin down exactly what it is? Or is profit potential simply openness reflected through wisdom?
No, I would say, even though I'm sensing into this abstractly because I know nothing about Dream Rave, it hasn't entered my experiment fully with the details. I get the overview, I got the cliff notes, but I haven't deep dived into that. So I can't speak into that. But profit potential is the refinement of the lesson that you are here to master, right? So it is part of really getting precise, which is what BG5 does. It gets you very precise with focusing on that precision base. Where is that being stimulated in your design? And how do you, because that's typically it's the hookup, right? Is where you hook up or hook into the other. But it's the way you process it that makes it unique. So yes, it's a very fascinating chapter of BG5. What I would like to say is that you do have to start with full analysis before you get into profit potential, because you have to have a solid foundation and certain dynamics and principles before you can get to that point, because it can get muddy,
Right.
and a lot of people want to focus on profit potential, but the real magic is in the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It's in your type. It's in your aura. It's in your decision making. It's in your environment, right? It's in your assimilation.
Like, I
So
can't even tell you the
that's where the
benefit.
real magic is. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Just to further what you're saying for anybody listening, is that I can't even tell you the depth of the confirmation and reassurance that I've received from this universe by making sure I have the foundations.
It has to be there. I mean, in all like human design, I mean, there's so many avenues. But again, any true analyst, right, will always bring you back to your center, will always bring you back to those foundational principles, because that's really where the magic happens. It's what Ra always says, it's at the surface, all right? There's only certain people that can really navigate the depths of that and stay intact, okay? Because the mental masturbation, right, if you don't have a solid foundation and you don't know how to make decisions for yourself, you're just going to create more chaos. It's
Oh,
only
yeah.
going to be stuck up here. You know what I mean? It's like, are you living it?
Like, oh my gosh. So I'm a defined ego with an undefined ajna. And
Oh,
then
yay.
I've got these 9 activations in the first line, including my personality sun earth. And then there's this 1648 that does the talking. And so I know all about over intellectualizing things. And then eventually my ego started to go, I don't have energy for that anymore. I couldn't care any less about that stuff that doesn't matter. You know, I know stuff that doesn't matter. Sometimes it can be fun, you know, especially like after a long day, being able to watch a cartoon or something. Wonderful. And yet I used to stay up all night long, like every night. Like I used to not sleep just because I need to keep investigating. I need to find something that I can be certain about.
Yeah. 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 It's amazing. So it's really being able to guide, right, in those ways. And it is an introduction. With all of my client work, we always go back to those foundations. No matter how far I travel with them in their experience, because that's what I think shadow work always comes in to try to trump those foundational principles. And as long as you can continuously hold that determination of self, the more empowered you're going to be.
And
And
you
it is
can,
something.
I was just going to say, as an undefined G, I can still have a very strong and determined sense of self, even though I can be pulled in any direction. I can go
Oh,
anywhere.
I love having an undefined G. I love it. 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 I've processed all the trauma through there. It is my first shadow work. I absolutely love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I am born in New York City.
Hmm.
So for an open G, can you imagine the chaos of me putting on so many hats? Because the open G for me is like a chameleon. You take people in, and all of a sudden you're speaking the way they do. You speak the same cadence they do. You love their inspiration, like you're doing this, right? You don't know what's you or what's them, right? When you're in the conditioned not self, right? And
Right.
it can be very painful, because that's where the distortion comes in. Who am I? What do I like? Where's the love? Who do I really love? Who loves me? Like, what is this? It's because it's constantly shifting and morphing, right? People and environments coming and going, and there's like a sense of no stability in the not self. As you process the open center, the wisdom potential is it's like, holy buckets, the resonance you can have with people. So growing up in New York City, I'm bilingual. I speak 2 languages, Spanish and English. And being in the melting pot, speaking 2 languages with every culture you can imagine around me, my English and my Spanish always morphed to the person. So if I was speaking to a Colombian, it was Cuba pues, right? And it was really Colombian. If I spoke to a Brazilian, right? Is it Chao Paulo, right? Like it always came out so instinctually for me, because I was taking in that identity, that way of communicating, right? It's amazing. I spoke to a Russian, right? I lived in a Russian neighborhood in college. All of a sudden, I'm learning Russian, right? I'm speaking Russian. And now
Right.
I'm like, how amazing is it now to see it that way, to see how beautiful that function can really be in connecting with human beings and in guiding in their way, sensing their stories, their direction, their love of self, right? Like, it's such a magical center. I mean,
Right.
we can talk about it all day, right? Because we have the magnetic
Right.
monopole there, but
Right in there.
and all
It's
of our
all,
equinoxes and all of it. But it's like feeling into all of that. It's just yeah, I love it. I
yeah,
love
it's
it.
brilliant. Like I have no activations in the G except for my unconscious Saturn is a 13-1.
Oh, look at that. That is
And
lovely.
so I've always had this sense of intuitive empathy around what isn't said. So it's like there's always things people don't say. And I've always kind of had this pickup of like, yeah, you don't even have to say it. I gotcha. I understand.
Isn't that
And
beautiful?
I've been really grateful to have that there because it feels like it saved me a lot in my life, a lot of heartache and a lot of challenges. Because especially as a hopefully motivated person with a third line in the unconscious, you know, things can be challenging sometimes. I've had my heart broken countless times, and I've had my dreams squashed, and then I can wake up tomorrow and be the same hopefully motivated, just like 37, 40 person. It's just like, yep, I want to belong to the whole. I want to do right by the whole. That's all I ever want to do. And so no matter how many times I got crushed back down, I just get back up and be like, all right, well, what's next?
There you go.
So my
Yeah,
question,
human design can be very healing.
oh my gosh,
Talk about
that's
freedom and liberation.
right, to say the least, very healing.
Hmm.
You had mentioned with the not to get too absorbed back into the profit potential. However, I was curious, you'd mentioned that with your 46, does that mean you have a 29 and no 46, or you have a 46 and no 29?
I have a 46, no 29, because I am a manifester, so I'm not defined in the sacral. So it's
Right.
just a hanging trait for me. Yeah.
Man, that's my favorite channel in the entire body graph is that channel right there.
Discovery. It's beautiful.
Yes. That line of failure where others succeed and success where others fail.
Serendipity.
Yes, it's like the most beautiful line in the whole chart. It's just like, that's what human is. That's what you are. That's
Ah,
what we are.
oh, yay. We all have it. We all get activated in time. It all comes to us. We all have it. It's wonderful. My favorite, which is coming up now in my 45th solar return, is higher principles, the 1020, the end of the mystical way. That's my favorite. But back to the point of this conversation, I have a conscious 4426. So I want to make sure that I let your community know about a course that I just launched called The Confident Entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
The Confident Entrepreneur is something that I wish I would have had out of the 7 businesses that I built. I currently run 3 businesses and a family penta as a non-sacral being. And it is my gift to humanity because it is a formula that's encoded in human design without human design words to really bring you into the now so you can be a confident person in your work, career, or leadership. And you can find it at my website at humancenteredworkplaces.com. And I just want to make that plug in because everything that I've ever experienced in my life has brought me to the culmination of that initiation. And if you find resonance in my voice, I guide you through a formula that you can have for the rest of your life that'll help bring you back into the center of your being as you are approaching making decisions for yourself in the material world. And right now, because of my design and how I am attuned to trends, and because of all that wonderful jargon that's the energy that you're perceiving right now more than ever, do we need to know how to survive on this material plane. And I am here to anchor peace. I am here to anchor a new way through my initiatory energy. So I welcome the invitation for anybody that is out there listening to please go ahead and check out my website. There's tons of things out there for people. I meet people where you are, and then we take it from there one step at a time.
Yes, that's beautiful. I feel like I want to take your course myself. I really appreciate the peace in your voice you've been able to share so far. I can definitely throw some positive projection your way.
Thank you. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Yes. I mean, the work
Wonderful.
needs to get amplified. It needs to get out there. We are here. We are all here. We are all here, no matter what your language is. You know, you're a light worker, you're a shaman, you're whatever. We are guides, we are people, we're individual sovereign people here in service to the fabric of humanity. And we all meet each other at the right time in the right place in our experience. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to throw that out there in case somebody is struggling right now with trying to figure that out. If there's confusion, if there's doubt, if there's this uncertainty of like, how am I going to move the needle? you call on the initiator, and I'll give you a new way for you to experiment with. And let's see what happens.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I don't even think that this podcast right here would have happened if it wasn't for another manifester who kind of showed up and initiated me in my own business and my own stuff into another level. Because for years, you know, I'm a 48th gate, and the 48th gate is always concerned about if it actually has enough depth or not to take action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have not done any kind of like reaching out to people to really be on my show or not until this manifester kind of initiated me into this next step. And now it's like, okay, well, I need to start reaching out to people. I got to talk to people. Let's start this process, this ball rolling. So I think it's a funny coincidence or synchronicity right there.
And you have a great way of communicating, because that 16 is a beautiful frequency in communication. So yes,
I'll tell you,
yes, and yes, and yes.
it's so much fun too, because the way in which it all lines up, because the 16 is part of my cross, along with the 9, they're both third line in my unconscious. And it's so really funny to me that means I'm across a planning, you know. And so I've got the 9 and the 16 in my unconscious, the 16 in the third line, giving me this quality of self-maintained and generated and sustained enthusiasm. Like I'm going to be excited about something, I'm going to lock on to it, I'm going to carry that as far as I can until that bond breaks, and then I find something else to be excited about and throw my hope into, and then I go as far with that as I can until it breaks. And the thing is, with my 9th gate in the third line, it's this lovely detriment, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Oh,
It's, in the not self, all the suffering, all the pain of always being the one who was like, yep, I know I'm too much at the worst time and in the worst way. And I know it, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. Now that I've started to see it in truth, now it allows me this unconscious recognition and ability to find wherever the weak point is and to like lay there and take a nap, like a cat who sits on your laptop.
oh my God, how cute are you?
It's so funny. It's so much fun. Like, I have no more fun in my life than these kinds of conversations with people, both in like the public and just casual. And then also when somebody's having a tough time, being able to sit there with them and with a chart and be like, so I see you're having a tough time, and that's coming from here, 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 and here. And if you trust that little voice inside you that operates through this mechanic, you can get through it. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I can resonate 100% with your words, 100%. And it really comes down to the embodiment. I can feel and amplify this enthusiasm, this beautiful inspiration, this love and passion for your work, and this surrendering nature that I am here to amplify, right? I feel it. It's sweet. And I think that the true work for anybody who wants to make a living out of this stuff is, are you really living it? Are you really living it? Because there's no way you're going to guide somebody else if you're not living it, and you don't know how to make true decisions for yourself. And when you start unlocking those things for yourself, your relationship to your environment completely changes. You know, it's really not about anybody else. This, at the end of the day, has always been a you and you deal. So how comfortable are you in your skin, right?
Oh, so much more than I used to be, and beyond my capacity to communicate. And that is where it gets amazing for me. Once I start to recognize and see there is a field of information, there is an energy of exchange that is occurring right now that goes beyond the possibility for me to communicate it. And the second I recognize that, it's like a lesson from Sadhguru is the infinite within you is beginning to awaken. It's like this thing on the inside that is just like actual spirituality, actual surrender. Because I happen to be a 45 without the 21. And the 21 is one of my bridging gates. And so when I saw I've got this receptive personality with this desire to control through the amplification of guilt. And it's just like, whoa, hold on a second there. You mean I don't have to fix anything? I'm not in charge of anything, and it's the biggest blessing I could possibly imagine.
Let it go. Let it go. Can't hold me back anymore. Let it go. Turn
Exactly.
away and slam the door.
Yes, exactly. I'll slam the door for that old world because I don't even know how I made decisions before I knew about my inner authority. I couldn't pretend to try and be that person I was back then anymore because I'm not even like, I kind of know who that is and they're still alive on the inside. Like one of my favorite things is when I started to realize that human design gave my inner child back to life.
Yay, I love that. Oh, to all the inner children, love you.
Yes.
Can we
Much
be
love.
friends?
All the way.
Can we be friends? My little inner girl to your little inner boy. Can we be friends?
Oh, of course.
Let's go play in the playground, in the sun, in the rain.
Oh, I love that too. The sun and the rain. When I was in Hawaii for the first time and I got to experience the sun on my face and then rain on my head at the same time.
I have to tell you that right there is one of my most magical experiences in life. It happens to me very frequently. I'm very attuned to it. When it is raining and the sun is out, it is the most cataclysmic body sensorial recognition of the beauty of life because they both are needed. They both have a place. And when they can coexist in your experience, right? It is pure magic. It is pure magic when you can accept both of those things.
It really is.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, that's all human design does, is it gives us the clothing to be able to go out there in a storm. And it's like, hey, I'm ready for the storm, or I'm ready for the beach. And it's like,
Helps us refine our communication, which as a BG5 analyst, that's what we do. It's communication strategies that we give in the workplace so we can communicate clearly and effectively.
So important.
That's how we kind of work with human design in the workplace. It's how the language comes out where it's easier to digest. It's communication strategies. We all have to know how to communicate together. It's being an individual and knowing how to collaborate, right? It's being an individual and knowing how to collaborate. That's always the conversation.
Yeah.
How do you stay true to yourself as an individual and collaborate with others? How do you stay as an individual and collaborate with others?
Maintain your difference as you work together with others, and our strength complements each other, and the weakness dissolves.
Or not. Yes. Yes. And yes.
I
Or
always
not.
love that. Or not. It's like the best
Because
part of all of it.
I do have to say that my design in general is a highly selective acoustic being. I am very selective with the people, the places that I show up in. I love my or not. It's okay. I'm an emotional person, like we started before the recording. I love my melancholy. I love my or not. I surrender to those parts of me. And it's okay. The or not is okay. If you're at work and you have a coworker that rubs you wrong, it's okay.
Yes.
If you have a leader with poor emotional intelligence and annoys the shit out of you, it's okay. Okay? It's okay. What are you doing for you? Let's bring it back to you, because all that's going to always happen. And melancholy is the greatest gift on the planet. It is the drama of life. It is the most beautiful poetry any human being can ever experience. The darkness of life.
It's
The
right there
darkness.
inside.
The reality of life. That feeling in life, that vibration of melancholy is so extraordinary when seen correctly.
It's like the source of all creation disguised both as bitter and sweet put together.
All of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. Yes, it's that anger, frustration, the bitterness, the drama. It's the energy that moves through that, the clarity that comes out of that, the wisdom that is in that magic, that if you just are patient enough, can learn how to use to your advantage.
You know, you were reminding me something that I saw recently that is both so simple and so profound. It absolutely blew my mind again. And there's certain details that I'd have to be looking at the image to even pull it up. However, the notion that every determination variable has its corresponding potential personality motivations that go with it. Like the fact that we can't have just every possible configuration we could imagine in theory because of the way the system is lined up between the design and the personality. And so say for instance, I learned about, what was it? There was like a closed fear or a cold thirst, and there were various different things that really blew my mind. It blows my mind wide open to the point where I really have to like study this more, because I felt like I was like, I'm so happy I want to talk about it, and then I'm like, wait, where are the details? Where are all these specific details that really paint the picture? And yet something was so profound. It's like there's this shift between strategies of the old world and strategies of the new world that are able to integrate the old world without the dogma and without throwing out the baby in the bathwater, if you know what I mean. And so, like, say, for example, I'm a hot thirst determination person. And so I like to heat it up. I like to turn it up. I like to get passionate and excited and riled up about things. And yet that is very dangerous for the tribe. I'm also very tribal. And the tribal, what we really want is a cool tribe. We want a calm tribe that can stay collected and cool, because the kind of things the tribe will joke about or bond over is literally life or death. And that's not the funniest thing to other people. Like, we don't want to have life or death be made fun of necessarily, unless you're tribal. Then you might pick up on that a little bit more. And so being able to see how each of our differences, no matter how different we are, there's a blessing to be had in every exaltation, every detriment, every difference. There's a positive side for all of it. And as a hopeful
everybody's got a trip.
Yeah.
Everyone has a trip. There's always a dilemma, isn't there? And there's always more to know. I think my Chiron is coming out in me here. There's certain things, I feel it. There's certain things that are known. There's certain things that are worth knowing, and then there's certain things that are unknowable. So if you learn how to discern each, it'll be okay, because that pressure to want to know it all, right, is really what activates dysregulated nervous systems.
Right.
And it's just knowing that there is this magic in the moment, in the now, that is worth paying attention to right now, in this conversation, in this moment, because we are evolutionary beings, and tomorrow's another day with a different set of movie set and players in the movie and right things that happen in life. So it's nice to settle down in it. I know what you're speaking of, and it's the evolutionary way. It is the perfection of individuated spirit manifesting on the planet. And it's beautiful. My husband's hot thirst. And a note on my husband, he is a 5-1 splenic manifester. And we are coupled together 19 years, about 19 years now.
Yeah.
Officially married, going
Congrats.
on 15 years. So it is something, and he's hot thirst. I'm bringing him up because you mentioned hot thirst, and I was like, oh, I know that body type.
Ready to just spin out of control, go all the way.
I know, and I definitely know why he's splenic. Because that is a perfect combination for the two. And when we look at variables, there is a nodal exchange that puts you through your magnetic monopole. And the point is to access your true cognitive potential and clean outer authority. So all of it, no matter what your unique combination is there for you to fulfill your life work, your life purpose, right? And it is always going to be a dilemma because you need the friction, right, of the dark and the light to push and pull, to give and take, to refine and polish, however your words are, right, to get you back into alignment so that outer authority is clean and pure as a differentiated, unique human being with a contribution, right? So it's all, everybody's got that potential. Yeah. And we can get deep into all that because I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I am here for it. But I'm speaking to a specific community as an open G. I'm aware that you're coming from the human design world and potentially the people watching are more human design. And how I present these ideas, I adjust to the room. I know how to read the room with my open G, and I use specific words for that calibration. But I think you're spot on. And with all those one lines in your design, you will figure it out eventually. That's
Well,
okay. Your curiosity and your body response will take you there, Ian. No worries, no doubt. Just follow the flow, right? Follow the path of least resistance. Respond to those things that bring you energy and life force and ease into the way that you love what you are doing. And everything else is everything else.
Something you might
Everything else
find,
is everything else.
right. It's something you might find interesting. There was a kind of like a realization or a vision based on, say, mechanics and logic and perception and all the studies and all that. I have a classification for the energy centers that I started to see that was kind of based on my own interpretation. And so I have the centers divided into 3 groups of 3. And so basically what I did is I said that it seems to me that the ego center is also a pressure center. Now, I know Rob probably wouldn't have said that's the case. He was saying it's the crown and it's the root. And yet when I put the ego as the 3rd pressure, there's like a pressure from the inside out, pressure from above, and pressure from below. Then there's the 3 awareness centers, the spleen, the ajna, and the solar plex. And then we're left with the 3 penta centers, which to me seem to represent somewhat of a transcendental self. And so I do a lot of studies into understanding reality as deeply as I can. And part of that has brought me to the theory of electromagnetics. Not just 2 gates coming together to make a channel, the electromagnetics of light photons making reality as we know it. And I have this sensation that the sacral center is like the positive end of the magnet, and the throat center is like the negative end of the magnet. Was that able to go through correctly? Did you hear me there?
It's kind of, the line is kind of staticky here. I'm hearing every other word you're saying.
Okay,
And
let
I'm
me.
trying to follow along the thread. And I also want to just inform I have about 5 more minutes.
perfect. I was wanting to ask for the past half an hour, and
Yeah.
that sounds great. So I'll just share this. It seems like we might have a better connection again. So it seems to me that the sacral center is like the positive end of the magnet of self, and the throat center is like the negative end of the magnet of self. And so this is why it seems to me the mind cannot actually ever be the authority, because the life comes out of the positive end. The life comes out of the sacral. And so the negative, no matter how sharp and powerful your negative is, the ajna connects to the throat. It connects to that negative portal for communication. And so it's like whenever we're communicating something, it's like a limitation or a negatively oriented vortex, and not like bad, simply negative. And so for me, it seems to explain why the mind can never be the authority. It can't wrap around the sacral, because the sacral is what does the enveloping of life. It's what generates life itself and wraps everything else around its ways. And
Fascinating.
yeah.
What an interesting contemplation, Ian. Yeah. Keep working on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let
thank
me
you.
know
That
how
one's
it
been
goes.
fun. Every once in a while, something comes through, and it's just like there's this fervor of mutation coming through, because like I don't have any individual definition, and yet I am a person with the 43 hanging, and then I also have, what is it? The 14. I've got the 14 hanging, and so it's almost like there's this, almost like a channel or electromagnetic on a different scale between those two. It's like a melancholy sandwich that I don't get to taste very often, and yet when it happens, it's like, boom, there it is.
You're perfect. You are wonderful. This was a delightful conversation, Ian. What a pleasure it is, for the privilege and the power does not go beside me, to speak to another beautiful human being, to connect in this way where I feel intimate, I feel safe. So thank you so much for all of the work that you have put into loving yourself, because I am amplifying a sweetness in your energy. And I just want to recognize that within all of your projected channels, that what I am sensing is safety. So it's very important, because as a human being like myself, those are one of the prerequisites for my voice to come through. Is the environment ready, right? Does it feel safe? And are they open, right? There goes my 22, openness or not. Are they open to hear my message? And I do have to say that that hall has been a delightful experience. Thank you so much, Ian. I really appreciate the time.
Well, the feeling is very mutual. I'm honored to have your presence for a period of time. Thank you so much for sharing some energy with me. I will be sure to include any links you send my way where people can find you and reach out if they want to receive more of your powerful, peaceful impact.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Will
so,
do so. Thank you, everyone watching the call. I would love to meet you. Introduce yourself at any point in time. I'm on some social media things, those things out there in the homogenized world. You can find me somewhere. But the best place is my website. It comes directly to me. I created it myself. It's my work. So that's the best place to always interact with me. All right. Thank you.
wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for participating, my friend Lorraine, and everybody watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Jolly flow, everyone. Bye.